So this is my model. We met Friday, and we had a conversation about completely changing her look. And if I kind of turn her around, you can see that I started my haircut at the back here, and we've completely given a color transformation. Now, with the haircut, again, I used my razor, and I went in from the middle section underneath, and she's got quite a strong kick to the back of her hair. So I asked if it was okay if I went higher than the hairline on the underneath to really kind of create a space for the hair above it to fit into, because her hair, as you can see, jumps into the middle. So taking the hair a little shorter underneath, about an inch up, allows the hair on top of this to really give that beautiful beveled effect on top. So there's no layering in this hair, there's no graduation in the hair. What there is through the length of the edge of the hair, about an inch and a half up in the middle section to half an inch behind the ears, I went through with my blade and I sliced through vertically, taking depth away from the edge of the hair, which then gives the illusion of a roundness. Okay? Because again, anything we take away creates a space for it to close in. When that bottom of the hair closes in, it curves. So it looks like it's beveled. It looks like it's actually beveled. And because the hair either side of the spaces that are taken away is still one length, when the client comes to blow dry it, she's not having to kind of cope with a horizontal ridge through the back of the hair, because everything still has a one length feel to it, and the pieces that are taken away in between is what's created the hair to have that curvature through the back. So these vertical slices I carved into the outside of the hair has the same feeling as if you did a graduated bob. If you do a graduated bob, you take more away from the middle back, don't you? And you take less away from behind the ears. Yeah? So you almost have like a curve. So the curve through here is higher in the middle, lower behind the ears, simply by directing the razor vertically through the hair and taking less away as I get to the corners. More away through the middle, less away into the corners, and it gives us that beautifully soft beveled effect. Still looks one length, but it has the effect of a graduation. So I think that's really beautiful. I wanted to share that with you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working through the front and just creating a nice soft length through the front here that curves in under the jawline. And then when I get to my little speciality here, which I call the bridge, which is bridging from where her parting goes into the length. And I think anyone that has finer hair at the front, this is a really key thing that you can use on any length of hair, whether it's a short haircut, a longer haircut. It's something that's very usable, and it gives a lot of versatility. So I'll come back as soon as I get to that stage.
So here with Stephanie, what we've done is you can see in the before photo as we move forward, right? If we can just go from, thank you so much. You can see that she has a lot of depth and a lot of layering into the hair. As it moves into the front, a little bit of a pre-cut shape. She had a lot of layers, but again, to really showcase the great neckline that's there, you know, whenever you look at it, it's something that it needs to have a different identity. And it's not that it wasn't cool, but it's time for a change. Coming through, it's the head down, it's the head up, seeing where is the break. What we're going to do is collapse this back in, reduce this length off, while also showcasing the hair color that has been done. You can see that she has a lot of really great tone built into the shape. Right? How can I bring all of this to life, get the strength, at the same time within the shape? So here, I'm going to just mist down just a bit, and slight just a bit. I am going to use a blade, not overly wet, but it's in the zones that I'm shaping. Coming through diagonally, just going to come into a rolling motion versus a vertical motion to get that high inversion into the shape. So I'm gathering together here, creating the length first. I can see where everything is coming to life. That perfect zone, back and forth, back. Come up, perfect, down, perfect. I'm coming through, I'm going to horizontally grab, gather with the blade, tight shot in there, reducing the weight out. Right motions. And if you need to remist hair as you go, we found our perfect length. We'll gather this, donate that later. No, for sure, that's good hair. So, you can see already what's going to happen. We're finding her spot. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take it a little further and start to come through, do a little more vertical weight reduction just within the nape, do a quick dry, and then start to detail it out.
If someone's kind of open to having the feeling of a fringe or bangs, but not a heavy kind of look. Sometimes, you know, if you think fringes or bangs are going to suit someone, you kind of have to baby step them there, you know? And in a lot of cases, once this is kind of been achieved, people will say, you know, I think the bangs would be good. Or, you know, I like it like this is cool. But this is kind of like a nice little technique that I really work with on finer hair. And once I've got the length achieved on both sides, I'll pick out a spot which is usually around the edge of the temple. So I'll pick out a spot on this side, the same on the opposite side, making sure there's a balance between those two lengths. Because I think on any journey, whether it's a haircut or whether you're in a car, you've got to know where your final destination is. Otherwise you get in the car, you drive around aimlessly, and you never get anywhere because you don't know where you're going. You get what I mean? So this is my final destination on both sides of the haircut. And now I'm going to give myself my beginning point, so I know where to go to, and now I'm going to discover where I'm coming from. Through her parting, I'm going to go back about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and I'm going to take about 1.5 inch wide section on the hairline. So 1.5 inches wide, gone back about 1.5 inches. It's almost like a triangular shape through here. And it's over the eye where the parting is. I'm going to go just a little lower than eyebrow level and around eye level. And when you think about it, this is going to go in 2 different directions. It's going to go to the right and it's going to go to the left. So if I go straight across here and cut a line, it's going to take me some time to bevel that in, to work it in. So I always think if you're going in 2 different directions from the same spot, why not kind of cut it that way to begin with? So I'm going to go through the middle of this and actually start pointing my blade one direction, and then from that same middle spot, pointing my blade the opposite direction. So we actually create an inversion, a V, that points the hair in the direction we want to go on both sides. Yeah? Rather than this being horizontal and then having to blend, it's already going in 2 different directions. And that's going to help me then when I come to blend this haircut together. So just working with that. All I'm going to do now is place my blade pointing from short to long, or from the beginning point to the end point. And if you imagine this is like a Superman laser beam, you know, and you could cut through in one go, it'd be a wonderful world. It'd be a great invention if anyone can kind of come up with that. I'm not clever enough to do that, so I've got my razor. And I'm going to work from the high point, sliding my fingers that are holding the hair down the length, allowing my razor hand to cut through, and that creates a perfect blend from the short into the long. One quick swipe really, but it's holding the hair firmly down, placing the blade in the right direction, and it's as quick and as simple as that. So it's going to make shaping through the front a lot easier, whether it's from here to here, whether it's from here to here, you know? As long as you know where you're going from, where you're going to, it's like having 2 dots on a page and just drawing a line between the 2 of them. It's kind of simple, yeah? Let's do this side. This side's a lot heavier, there's more hair. So I'm going to keep out my final destination and holding the hair down. So you can get into the camera light here a bit there. And move you around this way. There you go. See that better? Yeah, there we go. So holding the hair nice and flat, I'm going to find that piece of hair that gave me the guide. I'm going to point the blade from that down to the final destination, which is the piece on the outside of my fingers that are holding the hair. And I'm going to keep sliding through until those 2 pieces blend together. This is see how kind of quick and simple that is to get a really nice blend through. And then what I have here, I have some pieces that just drop nicely on the forehead, that soft poorly over the, soft, nice and softly over the eye, and chase around the cheekbone, still leaving my length on each side. One of the personalizing techniques that I do here is the same as I was explaining through the back. I'll take my blade and go into the length of the hair, and to create a fuller effect on the inside of the hair, we'll take some weight away from the perimeter. And what this does, again, it kind of gives us that curvature. It gives us the ability to actually curve the hair under and softly bend the hair because you're taking the weight out of the edge. So it's doing two things. It's making the inside of the hair look bigger because we're actually finding out some of that perimeter length without taking too much weight away. And it's also kind of creating an easiness for our client to manipulate their hair over to one side. So I'm helping the hair have a softness and a pieciness. The other thing is, when you think about this, when you're bringing hair from one side to the other, you're actually shifting where that hair should be. I mean, this hair is really designed to be here, yeah? And we're shifting that over here where there's hair laying already. And have you ever noticed whenever clients have those sweeps, they end up with bobby pins or clips or tucked behind their ear because it drives them crazy, yeah? Well, if you think that we're almost doing what, I mean, we could never do this. If you drove into a car park and you saw that the car park was full, you wouldn't press on the accelerator and drive on top of a car and end up on top of another car, because you just wouldn't, you know? There's no space for you, you kind of go find somewhere else to park. But we do that every day. We kind of take hair and we want it to park somewhere else, and yet there's no space for it to fit into because there's already something parked there, the hair's there, yeah? So as we do this, we want to look at where that hair is going to be parked, which is this area here. Elevate the hair up, and internally, about 3 inches away from the root area, create a few vertical slices that, as you see that coming out, it's a very fine amount of hair, but those spaces then allow the hair to be transferred over, and it fits into those spaces. The hair you're transferring fits into those spaces, and magically, all of a sudden, there's a parking space, okay? Makes sense, doesn't it? And it's so simple. So I wanted to give that to you today because it's one thing that I found with clients. All of a sudden, the sweeps are staying in place, and you're a magician, you know, you're a hair god. Oh. So, you know, try it when you go home. The one thing that I would suggest, because, you know, clients aren't used to us elevating the hair out and taking some slices out of it. They're just not. So a lot of times I'll turn my client away from the mirror, and I'll be like, I'm just going to create some space here. And turn them around and I'm like, look,